When I first saw her, the ground trembled not from fear, but from her steps. The mist of the valley parted as if nature itself bowed to her presence. I still remember how the morning sun, pale and uncertain, caught on her silver hair and traced her immense silhouette against the forest. She was crying, and every tear that fell carved tiny craters into the earth. I didn't know her name then. I only knew that I shouldn't be there. The elders had forbidden humans from crossing the northern ridge, where the banished daughter was said to wander. But curiosity is stronger than reason, and sometimes fate hides behind disobedience. The first thing I noticed wasn't her size, nor her beauty, but her sadness. She sat beside the old river, her knees bent like mountains, her hands cupped around something a bird, trembling in her palm. I could hear her whispering softly to it, a melody so gentle it made the leaves shiver. Then she saw me. Her eyes widened vast, oceanic, shimmering with surprise and pain. For a heartbeat, I thought she would crush me, the way legends said her mother had crushed men who dared approach. But instead, she turned her face away. "You shouldn't see me," she murmured. Her voice was a low echo that rippled through the air, deep and fragile at the same time. "They told you I was a monster, didn't they?" I swallowed hard, my heart pounding. "No," I lied. "I came to see if the stories were true." She laughed sadly. The sound rolled like distant thunder. "Then you found your proof. Look at me." I did. And what I saw wasn't what I expected. She was enormous. Yes, at least 20 meters tall, but her form was soft, full, and profoundly human. Her skin was luminous, as if moonlight had taken flesh. Her cheeks were round and flushed, her eyes full of storms barely contained. She wore a torn garment made of woven petals and vines, barely covering her enormous body. But she carried herself with the shy dignity of someone who knew too well the cruelty of being seen. "They called me Alara," she said after a moment. "Daughter of Seraphina, the one they call the sensual giantess, but my mother cast me out." "Why?" I asked, unable to stop myself. Her gaze drifted to the horizon. "Because I wasn't perfect. Because I was too human." She told me her story as the river shimmered beneath her reflection. Seraphine, her mother, ruled over the Valley of Clouds, a hidden realm where giants lived in harmony with nature, untouched by human eyes. Her beauty was legend, her charm irresistible, her voice enough to bend hearts and minds alike. But when Alara was born, she did not inherit her mother's flawless grace. She was larger, softer, slower. The others mocked her, whispered that she was the daughter of imperfection. And one day, when she failed to perform the ritual dance of the moonbloom, Seraphine banished her. "You are exiled for being yourself." I asked, angry at the injustice that echoed so humanly. "For being a reflection of what my mother despised," she replied. "Weakness, kindness, hunger, the desire to be loved without needing to be worshipped." A silence stretched between us, filled only by the hum of the river and the sound of her slow, rhythmic breathing. Then she looked down at me again, her massive eyes glistening. "And what are you? Human? A wanderer? A thief of stories?" "I'm a cartographer," I said. "I draw what others are too afraid to see." She smiled faintly. "Then draw me, if you dare. Draw the banished daughter no one wanted to remember." I opened my satchel and took out my sketchbook. My hands trembled as I traced her outline, mountainous, magnificent, and deeply alive. The shadows of her curves melted into the light, and for the first time, I saw not a monster, but a miracle. "Why don't you return to your people?" I asked quietly. Her face darkened. "Because the path is closed. The gate of veils opens only to those deemed worthy by my mother's judgment, and I am her shame." I wanted to say something, anything, but words failed. I felt small, insignificant, yet somehow connected to her in a way that defied logic. Suddenly, the wind shifted. A distant horn echoed from the valley below. Alara's expression changed, fear flickered across her features. "They found you," she whispered. "The Watchers, you must leave now." Before I could react, her enormous hand scooped me up with startling gentleness. The air whooshed past as she set me down behind a fallen tree, her eyes glowing with urgency. "Forget me," she said, her voice trembling. "Pretend you never saw what lives beyond the ridge. They won't believe you anyway." But as she turned away, I knew I couldn't obey, because what I had seen wasn't something to forget, it was something the world needed to know. That night, as I hid in the forest and watched her silhouette vanish into the mist, I swore I'd return. Not as a thief of stories, but as someone who could rewrite hers. And I had no idea then that by doing so, I would awaken the wrath of her mother and uncover the secret that could destroy both our worlds. I couldn't sleep that night. Every sound of the forest felt like her breathing, slow, immense, echoing in the hollow of my chest. The moon hung low, pale and trembling, as if it too feared the gaze of Seraphine, the sensual giantess of legend. I had grown up hearing whispers about her beauty, that she could seduce the wind itself, that rivers changed their course just to touch her feet. But no one ever mentioned her daughter. No one dared. The story of Alara had been erased, as if her existence shamed the perfection of her mother's world. But I had seen her tears fall like comets, her kindness like the pulse of the earth itself. And now, I was sad at dawn. I followed the tracks she left behind, vast impressions in the soil, deep as wells, filled with morning dew. The forest seemed to move around them, bowing, grieving. My compass spun uselessly. North, south, everything felt distorted, as though reality itself bent near her presence. Hours passed. The air grew thicker, silvered by drifting pollen that glowed faintly, floating upward instead of down. Then I heard it, the slow, mournful hum of a giant's song, Alara. She was sitting atop a hill, surrounded by wildflowers that looked like tiny flames around her. Her back was turned, her silver hair cascading like a waterfall over her shoulders. She held something in her hand, a pendant, glimmering with faint blue light. When she noticed me, she sighed softly. "You shouldn't have come back, little one." "I couldn't leave things like that," I said. "I want to understand." She tilted her head, studying me. "Understand what?" "The pain of being too much. The shame of being born different in a world that worships perfection. I want to understand you," I said. Her eyes softened, and for a moment, she looked away, as if the words had struck something deep. No human ever said that before. I sat down at the base of the hill, sketchbook in hand again. "Tell me about your world," I asked quietly. She hesitated, then began to speak. Her voice carried like a breeze through the trees. "There was a time," she said, "when giants and humans shared the same breath. Before the mountains rose to divide us, before the great forgetting, my mother ruled that era her beauty was the law. Her laughter could stop storms, and every daughter born to her line was meant to embody grace, symmetry, control." She paused, but I was born hungry. Hungry, yes, for touch, for warmth, for life. I was never satisfied with mirrors and praise. I wanted to feel things, to taste the rain, to hold creatures smaller than me without breaking them. She glanced at her hand, still cupping the faintly glowing pendant. But to her, that made me weak, imperfect, a failure. I frowned. "So she banished you. She said I would bring imbalance to our kind, that my size was a reflection of my undisciplined soul, that my softness was sin." Her voice trembled on the last word, like a storm about to break. I stepped closer. "You're not a sin, Alara. You're..." She raised her hand slightly, silencing me. Careful, human. Words like that awaken echoes. Before I could ask what she meant, the pendant in her hand pulsed once, then, again, brighter. The air around us rippled. I heard whispers, faint, melodic, almost like laughter. Then the air filled with shimmering dust, and a vision unfolded before Usan, enormous figure descending from clouds of light. She was breathtaking, towering, every movement deliberate and divine. Her hair was golden fire, her eyes liquid amber, seraphine even as a vision. She radiated an impossible allure, both terrifying and magnetic. "Mother," Alara whispered. The vision turned its gaze upon her daughter, and I felt my bones hum with power. "Alira," the voice said, distant yet piercing, "why do you cling to the mortal soil? Have you not shamed yourself enough?" "I seek no forgiveness," Alira replied, her tone fragile but defiant. "Only truth." The spectral seraphine smiled, cruel and beautiful. "Truth is what the perfect create, child. You lost that right when you embraced imperfection." The light flickered violently and then vanished. Alara shuddered. "She's searching for me. Every time I use the pendant, she feels it. I shouldn't have." She looked at me, panic rising in her voice. "You must leave. If she finds you with me, then she what?" I asked. "Erase me, like she erased you." Her lips parted, but she said nothing. Instead, she reached toward me, her fingers trembling, enormous, gentle. "You don't understand what she is capable of. She can unmake memory itself. I am only alive because she chooses not to remember me." For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes, not of loneliness, but of the power that had created her. Suddenly, a cold gust swept through the clearing. The flowers bowed, the light dimmed. The pendant flared once more, this time on its own. "She's coming," Alara whispered. Then, without warning, she scooped me into her hands and began to run each stride, shaking the world around us. Trees blurred into streaks of green. The sky darkened, clouds swirling like ink. Far behind us, a voice rolled through the heavens, smooth and commanding. "Alara, my wayward child, bring me the human and I may forgive you." Alara's grip tightened. "Hold on," she said, breathless. "No matter what happens, don't let go of me." And as the world split with lightning and the voice of a goddess thundered across the sky, I realized that I was no longer just an intruder in her story. I was now a part of the war between perfection and love. The world became a blur of motion and thunder. Alara ran faster than any creature I had ever seen, her colossal strides shaking the ground, tearing through ancient trees, splintering stone. The wind screamed past, filled with the scent of crushed flowers and fear. Above us, the sky churned in violent spirals of gold and violet. I clung to her thumb for dear life, barely able to breathe as she leaped across a ravine that split open beneath us. The pendant at her neck glowed like a trapped star, pulsing with every beat of her enormous heart. Then, she stopped. We stood on a cliff that overlooked a valley so vast it seemed to swallow the horizon. The air shimmered with a strange, silent energy, like the world itself was holding its breath. She lowered her hand, setting me gently on a moss-covered ledge. "She's close," Alara whispered. I can feel her eyes. Her voice shook. It wasn't the tremor of fear, alone it was guilt. "What does she want from me?" I asked, trying to steady my breath. "You," Alara said softly. "She senses something in you she can't control. You've seen her world, and that makes you dangerous." I stared at her, at the enormous, trembling figure before me. "Then, let her come. Maybe she needs to hear the truth." Alara smiled sadly. "You think truth can change her? My mother shaped the very air we breathe. She decides what is truth." Lightning tore the sky open behind her. For an instant, the light framed her silhouette, a goddess fallen from grace. Her massive form glowing silver against the storm. "She's coming through the veil," Alara whispered. And then the air split. A sound like breaking glass filled the valley as a rift appeared in the sky, golden, perfect, terrible. Through it stepped Seraphine. Even from where I stood, she was overwhelming. Her presence bent the wind, her eyes burned like molten suns. She was radiant, flawless, and utterly inhuman. "Alara," she said, her voice echoing across the cliffs. "You defy me again." Alara fell to one knee, trembling. "I only seek peace, Mother, peace." Seraphine's laughter rippled like silk. "You bring a human into our realm. You contaminate what I built. I stepped forward before I could stop myself. She didn't bring me. I came on my own. Her gaze turned toward me, and I felt the air leave my lungs. For a moment, I wasn't standing on a cliff. I was falling through her gaze, through centuries of memory and perfection. Every flaw I'd ever hidden felt magnified under her eyes. You, she said slowly, almost curiously. A mortal, and yet you can see us. Speak our tongue. Why? I draw maps, I managed to say. I look for places no one dares to see. I wanted to understand her. Seraphine's expression flickered amusement, disgust. It was hard to tell. You understand nothing. My daughter was created to be beauty incarnate. Instead, she chose excess, indulgence, sentiment, compassion, Alara said, her voice breaking. Not indulgence. Seraphine turned on her, her golden hair whipping like a flame. You were made to lead, to inspire awe. Instead, you weep for creatures beneath your feet. I weep because I feel, Alara whispered. Because your perfection is hollow. For the first time, I saw anger spark in Seraphine's eyes. The ground quaked beneath her feet. You dare speak against the order I gave you? Alara stood. The stormlight reflected in her tears as she straightened to her full height nearly equal to her mother. The two giants faced each other, mirror images divided by love and pride. You made me in your image, Alara said, voice trembling but firm. But you never gave me your heart. Seraphine raised her hand. The clouds above twisted, forming a spiral of blinding light. Then I will take back what was mine. No, I shouted, stepping forward instinctively. The energy hit like a wave. I was thrown backward, tumbling across the rocks. Through blurred vision, I saw Alara move her enormous hand, shielding me as the blast struck her instead. The sound was deafening. When the light faded, Alara was on her knees, breathing heavily, her arms scorched and trembling. The pendant at her neck cracked, the glow flickering like a dying star. Why protect him? Seraphine demanded. He is nothing. Alara looked up, her expression soft but defiant. He saw me, mother. Not the shame, not the imperfection me. Something flickered in Seraphine's gaze, a shadow of confusion. Perhaps even sorrow, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. I gave you everything, she said coldly, and you gave me defiance. She turned her eyes on me again. And you, human. You will forget this. I will erase you from every map, every dream. Before I could react, Seraphine raised her arm once more, and the rift behind her widened, spilling light across the valley. Alara let out a cry not of fear, but of fury. She slammed her palm against the earth, and the ground erupted in glowing roots that surged upward, wrapping around her mother's legs. The mountains groaned under the strain. Go, she shouted to me. Run while I can hold her. I'm not leaving you, I yelled. You must. Her eyes glowed with desperation. There's something in the caverns below the heart of echoes. Find it before she does. It's the only thing that can rewrite the truth. The earth split beneath my feet. I stumbled, tumbling down into darkness as the two titans clashed above the mother of perfection and the daughter of imperfection, their roars shaking the sky. As I fell, I heard Alara's voice one last time, echoing, fading, find the heart and remember me. Then everything went black. When I awoke, the world was silent. No thunder, no trembling steps, no voice echoing from the heavens, only the steady drip of water falling from unseen heights, and the soft glow of blue crystals embedded in the cavern walls. My head throbbed, my ribs ached, but I was alive. I sat up slowly, dust clinging to my clothes. The air was cool and heavy with the scent of whetstone and ancient moss. Above me, somewhere far beyond the jagged ceiling, I thought I heard faint tremors, the distant fading echoes of two giants locked in battle. Alara, I whispered. Her name lingered in the air like a prayer. Then something pulsed. A faint light flickered deeper within the cavern, rhythmic and slow, as though the mountain itself was breathing. I stood and began walking toward it, every step echoing softly in the vast emptiness. The deeper I went, the stranger the light became, no longer merely blue, but shifting hues: violet, gold, rose. The colors pulsed in patterns that felt alive, as if the stone had a heartbeat. And then, at the end of the tunnel, I found it, the heart of echoes. It was not a stone, nor a crystal, but something alive floating in the air, suspended between light and shadow. It looked like a sphere made of liquid glass, within which entire worlds swirled: mountains, oceans, stars. It hummed softly, like 1,000 forgotten voices whispering all at once. I reached out, and the moment my fingers brushed its surface, the world around me vanished. Suddenly, I was standing in a place of blinding white light. No ground, no sky, just endless brightness. A shape formed before me, shimmering like a memory. It was Alara, but not as I had seen her before. Here, she was luminous, her skin, a soft glow of silver light, her eyes vast and filled with galaxies. She looked at me with sadness and wonder. "You found it," she said. Her voice was everywhere, surrounding me. The heart remembers everything that was erased. "What is this place?" I asked. "Where are you?" "This is where truth is born," she said. "The heart of echoes holds the first stories, the ones even my mother cannot unmake." I stared into the light. "Then we can use it. We can show the world what she's done." She smiled faintly. "It's not that simple. The heart only answers to one who speaks without fear, and it demands a memory in exchange." "A memory," she nodded. "To rewrite truth, one must give up something that defines them." My chest tightened. "What did you give up, Alara?" She looked away, her expression soft and distant. My reflection: I haven't seen my own face since the day she banished me. The heart took it so I could survive outside her perfection. For a moment, I couldn't speak. The thought of her so vast, so radiant, living without ever seeing her own image, broke something inside me. Then her eyes turned serious. "Seraphine seeks this heart. If she takes it, she will erase every imperfection, every story that doesn't praise her. Even your kind will forget you were ever free." "Then teach me," I said. "Tell me how to use it." She hesitated. "It's dangerous. The heart doesn't distinguish truth from desire. If your intention falters, it will consume you." "I don't care," I said. "If it can save you, I'll risk it." Alara stepped closer, her immense form shimmering. For a moment, her light touched my hand. I felt warmth, sadness, gratitude. "You remind me of what I was before she named me shame," she whispered. "Perhaps that's why the heart called to you." The light around us flickered suddenly, dimming, shivering. A distant voice boomed through the whiteness. "Alara Seraphine." The space trembled. Cracks of gold light split through the white void. Alara's form began to blur, fading. "She's breaking through," she cried. "You must act now." "What do I do?" I shouted. "Place your hand over the heart and remember me," she said. "But not as I am. Remember who I was to you. Let that truth rewrite the lie." The light shattered. I was thrown backward, falling back into the cavern. The heart floated before me, pulsing wildly now. I pressed my hand against it. The surface burned, searing through my skin, but I didn't pull away. I closed my eyes and remembered her laughter in the valley, the way she cupped the wounded bird, her tears falling like stars, the softness of her voice when she called me little one, and suddenly the heart roared. Images flooded through me, visions of her childhood among the giants, the cruel perfection of her mother's court, the night she was cast out beneath the bleeding moon. But then something else, a vision of her mother, weeping in secret, watching from the clouds as her daughter wandered alone. The truth twisted, the lie fractured, the heart sang. And from its glow emerged a sound, a heartbeat, vast and deep, echoing through the mountain. Then, from the shadows behind me, I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, powerful. Seraphine had arrived. Her golden light filled the cavern, swallowing the blue glow of the heart. "You dare touch what is mine," she said, her voice trembling with restrained fury. I turned to face her. Truth doesn't belong to you anymore. Her eyes narrowed. Then you will drown in it. She raised her hand, summoning light brighter than the sun. And in that blinding moment, as her power tore through the cavern, I saw something behind her Alera's massive shadow rising from the depths, her eyes burning like twin moons. The daughter had returned. The cavern exploded with light. The golden fire from Seraphine's hands clashed against the silver radiance of her daughter's return. And for a moment, I couldn't tell where heaven ended and the earth began. The heart of echoes pulsed wildly between them, its glow rippling like a heartbeat caught between love and destruction. Alera rose from the shadows, her enormous form bruised but unbroken. Her silver hair streamed behind her like liquid starlight, and her eyes, those vast, mournful eyes, burned now with a light I had never seen before. "Mother," she said, her voice thundering through the caverns, "this ends now." Seraphine's face was radiant with fury. "You would raise your hand against the one who gave you life. I would raise it for the life you denied me," Alera replied, her voice trembling with restrained power. The ground shook. Stalactites rained from above as the two giants circled each other, one of perfection, carved from sunlight and pride, the other of imperfection, forged from compassion and sorrow. Seraphine struck first. A column of light lanced toward her daughter, but Alera met it with her bare hands, deflecting the blast. The impact sent shockwaves through the cavern, throwing me to the ground. My ears rang, my vision blurred. The heart pulsed again, brighter now, feeding on their emotions. I felt its hum vibrating through the stone. It wasn't just a relic, it was alive, listening, waiting. "You cannot defeat me," Seraphine said coldly. "You were shaped from my flaws." Alera staggered but stood tall. "Then I'll use those flaws to set us free." She reached for the heart. The sphere answered, floating toward her, its colors swirling faster, blue into silver, gold into crimson. The voices within it grew louder, whispering fragments of forgotten truths. Seraphine moved to stop her, but I stepped forward, blocking her path. "You can't control it," I shouted. "The heart only listens to those who remember." Her gaze fell upon me, a mix of contempt and curiosity, and what would a fragile mortal know of remembering? I swallowed hard, enough to know that perfection forgets. For the first time, her expression faltered. Behind her, Alera pressed her palm against the heart. The glow spread up her arm, enveloping her entire form until she shone brighter than her mother. Then, her voice, soft but powerful, filled the air. "I remember the first dawn, when you held me in your arms and called me your little moon. I remember your laughter before it turned to pride. I remember that you loved me once." Seraphine froze. The golden fire in her hands flickered. "Stop," she whispered. "Do not use those memories against me." "I'm not," Alera said gently. "I'm giving them back to you." The heart of echoes flared. Light poured from it in waves, wrapping around both of them, silver and gold, intertwining, clashing, then merging. The air filled with the sound of weeping, not from pain, but release. The mountain groaned. Crystals shattered. I covered my eyes as the radiance became unbearable. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes, the cavern was calm again. The air shimmered with a faint glow, like the lingering trace of a dream. Seraphine knelt in the center of the chamber. The light that once burned from her was softer now, warmer. Tears streamed down her golden cheeks. Before her stood Alera, still immense, but serene, her silver light pulsing gently with the rhythm of the heart that now floated between them. "My daughter," Seraphine whispered, reaching out a trembling hand. "Forgive me. I forgot what it meant to be more than perfect." Alera smiled sadly. "You remembered now. That's enough." Seraphine's hand touched her daughter's. For the first time, there was no thunder, no trembling earth-only peace. The heart pulsed once more, then slowly descended into the stone, sealing itself within the mountain's core. Its glow faded, leaving only the quiet drip of water and the soft hum of life returning. Seraphine looked at me. "You brought this change," she said. A fragile creature with nothing but honesty. The world will remember you. I shook my head. Let it remember her instead. Alara turned her gaze to me, her smile radiant yet tinged with sorrow. You've redrawn the map, little one. Not of lands, but of hearts. I wanted to say something, but my throat closed. Words felt too small for that moment. Then light enveloped them, both mother and daughter, and in an instant, they were gone. The cavern fell silent again, save for the whisper of the wind. I climbed back to the surface over what felt like hours. The storm had passed, the valley was still. Where once stood the veil of clouds, there now stretched a clear sky, streaked with dawn. And there on the horizon, two towering silhouettes shimmered briefly before fading into the morning mist. Alara and Seraphine were gone from the world of mortals, but I knew they still lived, somewhere beyond the veil watching, perhaps even healing. I returned to my map and drew a final line across the northern ridge. I labeled it not as a border, but as a promise, the Valley of the Two Lights. And sometimes, at night, when the stars shimmer just so, I still hear her song soft, immense, filled with both sorrow and hope. The song of the daughter who taught a goddess to remember love. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It helps us bring more enchanting stories like this one to brighten your day. And let us know in the comments where in the world you're listening from. See you next time.